I Love Mortgage Brokering, episode 14.
The only podcast for brokers by brokers. I Love Mortgage Brokering will inspire you to up your mortgage business. Join your host, Scott Peckford.
Hi, Broker Nation. I'm thrilled to introduce our guest today, Matt Key. Matt is a mortgage broker based out of Calgary, Alberta. He is with Mortgage Architects and has been a mortgage broker for 7 years. How are you doing today, Matt?
Very well. Thank you for having me.
So, Matt, before we begin, I'd like you to just tell us a little bit about yourself and your business.
Yeah, sure. Like you said, I've been in the mortgage industry for 7 years. I love my job. It's, as far as the business side goes, I get people mortgages. That's really what it comes down to. First mortgages, second properties, etc. Outside of my business, at one point in my life, I actually was a broke musician, believe it or not. So yeah, those days are behind me though.
So did you come from being a musician right into mortgage brokering, or was there a transition in there?
There was a little bit of sales transition in there. I actually started off in retail for the sales part with some big chains. And the good thing about working in these big chains is that their sales training is so aggressive that any person in sales, I would recommend they start in retail, big retail companies, because the training you do get out of that is just top notch.
So what about family and such?
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. Married this year will be 5 years married. Been with the same woman for 15 years. We have two amazing kids, one 2-year-old girl, Winnie, and a 5-month-old boy, Miles. And they're the focus of my life now. So it's wonderful.
They keep you busy.
They do. Absolutely. Without a doubt. Without a doubt they do. So it's fun though.
Oh yeah, they're always changing. Like I find my kids are a bit older than yours, but whenever a phase comes, they hit it, and then when you think you can't handle it anymore, it changes and there's something new. So
isn't that the truth, right? Isn't that the truth? So
okay, so before we dive into your story, I'd like to ask you a success quote. I love quotes, and they get me thinking, and so I'd love you to share a quote that you have that's impacted you, and also a specific example of how you've applied it to your life or business.
Sure, absolutely. I actually live off of many quotes in my life. They're kind of almost every quote that you read is super inspirational. But what has been ringing with me in the last year or so is this specific quote. A very good friend of mine told me. She said to me, "Matt, one of my greatest strengths is knowing all my weaknesses." And as far as applying it to my business or life, in any business, mortgage brokering, real estate, or whatever business you're in, there's always room for improvement. And it's good to know where your faults are. And it's also good to know to either fix those faults or just know to stay away from it. And a lot of times people will try to fix it, but shouldn't fix it and should just stay away from it. Or a lot of times people should know that it's best to fix it, and then it will better your business. An example of that is relationship building, for example, right? So when I first started brokering, I wasn't good at building relationships with realtors or referral sources. I just kind of expected it, and it's been something that I've quickly learned that this is a challenge for me, and this is something that I should fix because it's going to make my business better if I start properly treating my referral sources, realtors, lawyers, financial planners, even friends and family, right? So that I think that's been kind of my motto for the last year. Is one of my greatest strengths is knowing my weaknesses.
So that's a great quote, by the way. I love that. That's one of my greatest strengths, and for sure. So you either have to find other people to cover over those weaknesses, or try to avoid those areas, or
avoid it
improve them.
If you're not good at it, yeah, exactly right. If you're not good at it, don't even try, right? Because it could either be very, very bad. It could end up being a disaster if you try to do something that you just know you're not good at. One of those things for me personally is cold calling. I'm not I'm not a fan of cold calling. I get very nervous cold calling. I don't like cold calling. I find myself mumbling and rambling on when it comes to cold calling, and I just do a very poor job. So I tend to stay away from cold calling and just focus on what I know best, which is harnessing relationships with past customers, past clients, past referral sources, and of course my friends and family.
So a quick question on that about the relationship building. And you're right, some weaknesses you can just hire somebody, but some weaknesses are actually kind of crippling, and you have to, like, if you couldn't build relationships, it's going to be tough to be a successful mortgage broker. So how did you specifically, what give me a couple of tips, or give the listeners a couple tips on how you went from not being, maybe the most relational guy to turning it into something that became a strength for you?
Yeah, and it's okay. Well, let me think. The biggest thing here was when I learned to build relationships, Scott. It was more so what I learned quickly in building relationships is that I have to be myself, right, and not try to pretend to be someone else. And I think that was key for me when I started building these relationships with realtors that I didn't know. Number one, and it also helped with friends and family. I wasn't trying to pretend to be some amazing mortgage broker. I just laid it out to them. This is what I do. Ultimately, I'm an open book, and if you guys have questions, just come to me first, kind of thing. So I guess as far as the tips, it's definitely be yourself when coming to build relationships.
Right. People can smell when people are being phony anyway. There's you just get this sense of someone, you go, something's off. You don't know what it is. They're either uncomfortable or they're lying, and it puts up, you immediately put your guard up.
Well, and that's absolutely it, and I think you hit the nail on the head there. You could absolutely tell if someone's being fake or not, and to me, that's one of the worst qualities anyone could have in business and in life. Right? Don't just try to be yourself, because ultimately, people will use their mortgage broker, number one, because they like you. Right, and you'll get referrals because not only did a wicked job on getting them a perfect product and a perfect rate and gave the service they deserve, but ultimately, if you get a connection with your clients, they're going to refer you because they like you, right? And they're only going to like you if you are being yourself, right? So.
That's good. Okay, so this actually ties perfectly into my next question, which is about failure. And I know that I've made my share of mistakes as an entrepreneur and a mortgage broker, but if I look back, there's always a lesson in them. And so can you share about an example, maybe a different one, because this sounds like it was an area that was a potential failure, but an area that you made either in sales process or something to do with your business that was a failure that, looking back, there was actually a lesson in it so that we can learn from it?
Absolutely. And what pops up to my head there first is going back to that relationship building. There's so many missed opportunities there's so many opportunities that I missed, and it's something that kind of lingers in the back of your head. You go, oh, why didn't I do that, or why didn't I follow up on that, or how come this never happened to me? And as much as I hate looking back at the past of all my failures, the whole idea is that these things are there to make you stronger. The whole idea, sort of to give an example, is do you want a specific example, Scott? Is that what you're looking for?
Yeah, so maybe a specific example of when looking back, you're like, hey, that relationship, maybe I didn't handle as well as I could have, and here's what I learned from it.
Well, and that's exactly it. Okay, well, to be super specific, I had when I first started brokering, a realtor who happens to be one of the more higher producing realtors here in town was using me quite exclusively, and I learned a lot from the business he was sending me. But I never harnessed that relationship. I just expected it, that he would just give me the business left, right, and center kind of thing. But because I neglected his needs, I ended up losing that relationship, that business relationship. We're still friends to the day, but there is no business interactions anymore. So it's a little bit upsetting that way, because the only person I could blame is really myself. now that I have been brokering for 7 years, I understand there's relationship in everything we do, including the relationships with the banks, relationships with our clients, relationships with our referral sources, and it's best to not expect and not to ignore their needs, right? So definitely learning a lot from that. I have learned that is probably the number one thing that I have learned in the last 7 years about relationships wise, right?
Yeah, those hurt when you have that sort of, a strong supporter of your business, and then it's gone, and you're like, now you got to replace them. And right, if you look back, you know that, hey, you got to take ownership for that relationship and the part that you played in it. So good on you for learning it. And I'm sure that, you're going forward, the relationships you're forging now will be stronger because of it.
Well, yeah, that's exactly it, Scott. You got it.
So the one thing I noticed talking to successful mortgage brokers is they always have systems and processes, sales systems, they have follow-up systems, they have, administrative processes. So, and I love to get specific on this because this is where I feel like we as brokers can really learn from each other. So do you have a specific, I'm going to ask you about two parts first. The first part's about the administrative or the paperwork side of the business. So do you have a process that you were using that wasn't working and that you tweaked and made an adjustment to, and can you share what sort of what it was and what sort of outcome you got from making an adjustment?
Absolutely, and like anything in life, there's always room for improvement. I'll tell you this much: when I started brokering, I was the worst at following up. I didn't send out birthday cards. I didn't do mail outs or anything like that. When we transferred over to Mortgage Architects, they introduced our program called Eximius, which is available to all the brokers across Mortgage Architects. It's a great CRM tool that I rely heavily on, and what I love about Eximius is that it's more of a back to basics kind of tool. We're not trying to reinvent the wheel. We're just trying to make the wheel better, if you will, right? The Eximius tool that we have keeps us in the front, not even in the front, in the middle of our clients' minds. But the whole point is we're on our clients' minds 3 or 4 times a year. And I don't really have to do anything for it. The Eximius does everything for me. A set it and forget it kind of tool for us brokers, but we know it's a valuable tool. And it's something that is always changing and evolving and getting better, if you ask me. And it definitely has increased my volume personally just by utilizing the Eximius tool. Other than that, Scott, I don't think I do anything else. I don't think I do anything else outside of Eximius for CRM tool wise.
Okay, no, that's good. Yeah, I've actually, from these interviews, I've been talking to other people from MA, and I'm with MA, so I actually went in and turned on some of the programs they have, like the birthday one, and it's actually pretty awesome. And I feel a little bit sheepish that when they first rolled it out and they told me the name, I honestly thought it was a skin condition. I'm like, what's Eximius? What a terrible name. And so
right.
Exactly. I was like, I can't use this. But then I'm talking to people and I'm like, okay, enough smart people tell me that it works. I'm going to turn it on and see what happens. And I've been getting some pretty cool results from it. So I agree with you.
Well, and that's exactly it, Scott. The birthday cards, for example, I turned it on, and then about a month ago, I get a reply email from a client saying, "Hey, thanks for the birthday wish. That was really great. By the way, what are rates looking like these days?" kind of thing. So it definitely brings our names right back to the front of their head to think of mortgages again, or real estate, or their finances, and it's one of the great and they do it in a nice way where it's not pushy, it's not too much in your face, and I'm one of those people that hate spam, right? I'm not a spam liker, so this tool is to me is very classy, and it's done quite elegant, and it does produce some volume on it, kind of thing. So
right, and it's automatic, which is awesome.
And it's automatic, yeah.
Okay, so the next question I'm going to ask you about is about a sales process, but I'm going to be a little bit more specific with you because I know a little bit about your business, and I know that when we were chatting offline, you were telling me that Facebook is one of your major sources of your business, and I'm completely confused and interested in this. So I'd love you to share about how you're using Facebook, or how can a mortgage broker use Facebook effectively?
Exactly. It's got. I have a joke with my wife that I tell her Facebook is my full-time job. Right. So she's not a fan that I'm always on Facebook, but ultimately. And we were talking offline how it's a little bit of an anomaly, and it might be an anomaly. I don't know. I'm fortunate to be born and raised in Calgary, and when you're born and raised in Calgary, you're able to meet a lot of people throughout your whole life in one city. And so I'm fortunate to have quite a lot of connections and friends on Facebook. And don't get me wrong, it's not my only business tool, but it is a very huge part of my my book of business. It accounts to about 40% of my book, my volume book. The whole idea is just shoot out things once in a while on your personal page, and create I've also created a business page, facebook.com/YYC mortgages. And it doesn't just cater to me. It caters to it doesn't just focus on me as a broker. YYC Mortgages, Facebook.com/YYC Mortgages is about Matt Key and Associates, my team. So I do it in a way where it's not about me. It's about the business. It's about the client. It's about my friends. It's about my family. And I'm here to answer any questions. And the good thing with having a lot of friends is friends. If you have good friends, they care about you. They care about your business. And if you're nice to them, they'll be nice to you, kind of thing. And it's a great tool for me if fortunate to have a lot of people on your Facebook page. You know what I'm saying, Scott? I don't know really how to explain it, besides the fact that I just have a lot of friends on Facebook, and they check in once in a while.
You know what? I'll be a little more specific with my question. So can you maybe share with me a specific example of something that you do with Facebook that maybe has translated into a deal? So something that either a habit or maybe even the last deal that you got from Facebook. So what happened?
Sure.
Can you explain that just so we can get thinking how you think? Because for me,
sure.
Facebook is not a business thing.
The Facebook thing for me is I don't throw up everything Facebook related. Mortgage related, not Facebook related, mortgage related. So I don't post up interest rates. I don't post up what's going on in the mortgage industry. I actually post up things that say things about myself. I'm a huge fan of music, so I post stuff about music. I'm a huge fan of Star Wars, so I post up pictures of Star Wars stuff, and I lighten it up a bit. That's one side of the other thing. And then once in a while, I'll drop the interest rates, and then that's what kind of gets people talking. That's what, for example, we have 299 right now with one of our lenders here, and the 299 I threw up on my Facebook page just 2 days ago, and I get a private message from my friend saying, "Hey, tell me more about this 2.99." A more specific example, or another example of using Facebook, is there's other people out there that will look for like businesses on Facebook. So you might see this on Facebook where a friend will post, "Does anyone know a deck builder, or does anyone know any good real estate agents?" What has happened to me was a customer of mine, he posted before a couple months ago saying, "I'm looking for a mortgage broker." Because of our mutual friends, my name was the one that popped up the most on his question. As well as other great brokers in the city, but these my friends essentially are advocates for my business, and I ended up getting the deal that way because I do have those advocates, right? So it works. It works in that sense, right? So there's a few ways that it doesn't work every time, but it works, right?
Right.
And it's working for me. If I'm getting 40%,
awesome.
Right? So and it's just being in front of them, virtual wise, right? You know, I wish every single person on my friends list happy birthday every single morning. I wake up, I get on Facebook, and I wish them, if it's their birthday, happy birthday. I don't talk about mortgages on Facebook specifically. On their birthdays, I just say happy birthday just to let them know that I care, which I genuinely do, and the idea is, oh, Matt said happy birthday to me. What's going on in Matt's Facebook page? They'll go search my Facebook page. They'll see the things that I'm interested in, and they'll see where I work, and it just kind of goes from there, right?
Right. I love it. My dad used to always say one of his friends are better than money, and so clearly on Facebook, you've really figured out how to harness that, and you're not hammering people with, because there's some people that just sort of, in my mind, they kind of vomit their business everywhere, including on Facebook or social media, and it actually does more harm than good, because people go, man, I don't want to, that guy is, you know,
it's annoying.
He's annoying, and he's just talking about himself all the time, right?
Yeah, and it's hard because there's a lot of business owners that I know that do that just throw everything that they do on Facebook, and it does look a little bit pompous, but you know what? It might work for them. I don't know. That doesn't work for me. And not to say that it's wrong, but to me, it is a bit annoying. Right. Right.
And hey, if you like Star Wars, we're already like, I remember that, you know, they came out when I was really young, and I'm a huge Star Wars fan as well. So I wanted to name my son Luke, but my wife's like, because then I could do the whole Darth Vader thing. And my wife's like, she said, well, how about Lucas for a name? And I'm like, oh, that'd be awesome. I could do the Luke, I'm your father. And she's like, forget it, name's out.
Well, as long as you didn't name your son Darth Vader, I think it'll be okay, right? So.
Right. But anyway, okay. So the next thing I've noticed too is with there's been a lot of talk in our industry about the need to diversify income and looking at other products and services. And so I just wanted to get your take on the diversifying of income. Is it an area that you're working on? Is it an area you don't work on? And
that's a weird question, Scott, because for the longest time, I have been focusing on just mortgages and only mortgages, and I like it. I'm good at it. And diversifying has definitely been what's been kind of popping up in every meeting. Diversify, and it's not something that I have been paying attention to, right? But I also think it's something that shouldn't be forgotten. I'm a firm believer of I'm not an insurance guy, so why should I be selling insurance to you? I'd rather refer this insurance product to someone who's number one, gone to school with it, who's certified for this, who knows what they're talking. That way, they're getting the proper knowledge, the proper service that they deserve. But at the same time, I believe the future of our industry is heading towards full financial planning. So it's something that I just can't ignore, right? But at this current moment, I focus just on mortgages because that's what I do. I'm not an insurance guy. I'm not a lawyer. I'm not a real estate agent. Sometimes I feel like I have to be a real estate agent, but ultimately I'm not. I sell mortgages.
Right.
Right. And I don't even sell anything, to tell you the honest truth. I've never sold anything in my life. I'm not a salesman. I look at it as I'm an educator. I'm here to educate my clients on products and how things work and how things work in their favor, how things may not work in their favor, and ultimately it's up to them to make the decision on what's best for them. Right. So.
Mm-hmm. No, that's good stuff. Yep. So. Another question I'd like to ask is, where you obviously have a young family, you have a busy mortgage practice, you've got 6 sub-brokers, and so how do you balance running your mortgage practice and family?
The biggest way is the biggest way for me is I have a very, very supportive wife. She's been able to support me, knowing that this is a commission job. She knows that it's important. A commission job for me, but it's also equally important for my clients, right? So that's how I do it. I got a very good supportive wife who knows everything is important. Everything that I do is important for our family, and everything is important for my clients. one of the reasons why I became a mortgage broker is because when I bought my first condo back in 2006, I actually had the worst service of my life, and this is when I was still working in retail. And the lady that did my mortgage, she was a mortgage specialist at one of the major banks, and the service was just so bad. And she actually pulled up in like $100,000 vehicle, and I'm thinking to myself, you're driving a $100,000 vehicle, and you're giving such crappy service. Like, what is that? But besides the point, my wife is very supportive, and without her, I honestly don't know how I would be able to juggle this, because we and you could probably appreciate this, Scott, right? We put on hats. We have the father hat, we have the broker hat, we have the friend hat, and it's definitely hard to juggle all of this, right?
So, right. Yeah. So it sounds like
so the whole idea is get a good wife.
Yeah, I was going to just say marry up.
Marry up.
The tip
exactly,
here,
right?
mortgage brokers, is marry up, so that whoever your spouse is are supportive.
I mean, there's other things like process and streamlining, stuff like that. But ultimately, I wouldn't have the time to do this unless I had a very supportive wife.
Cool. You're gonna have to get her to listen to this, or she'll be like, "Oh, it's like getting me flowers, Matt."
Right.
Yeah.
And every time we get into a fight, I'm just gonna say, "Hey, you should listen to Scott's interview there."
So we're gonna move to the rapid fire questions. So these ones you can answer with shorter answers. And so, what is the number one thing holding most mortgage brokers back from being successful?
The answer to that is work ethics. They're either lazy or they don't want to work. They just expect.
Good. That's a great answer. And what one habit or thing that you've been doing has made you successful?
Transparency. I'm very transparent to everyone I know. I'm an open book, whether you like it or not. And most people like it because I'm not here to mess around, kind of thing, right? I'm not here to screw anyone over. I'm an open book. Ask me all the questions you want, and I'll answer it to the best of my knowledge.
That's great. And then, so do you have like an internet resource, like a Dropbox or Evernote or some software program you use to make your business more successful?
No, nothing like that. I use Dropbox with realtors who need to send me stuff on the go.
Mm-hmm.
I don't do Dropbox with clients or anything like that. So no, not really. Maybe just Dropbox.
Okay. And if you had a book that you could recommend to our listeners, what would it be?
You know what's kind of funny, Scott? I don't read. I don't have time to read. So I don't have an answer for that. I could tell you what books have been recommended to me, which I would want to read. I've heard Fight Club is actually a very, very good book to read, but I don't read. That's the honest truth.
You can watch the movie.
I can watch the movie. I'm a movie watcher, right? So yeah, I don't have time to read.
The first rule of Fight Club is we don't talk about Fight Club.
Exactly right. Yeah. Have you read the book?
No, I haven't, but I'm sure that it would be. The movie's kind of trippy, so I'm sure the book would even be more so.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Okay, so that's great. And then, where do you think our industry's headed? Like, where's the opportunity right now?
I think I touched base on this a little bit earlier. I think it's heading towards full financial planning, full real estate planning, full estate planning, and it would be interesting to see where. I'm going to ramble a bit on this. I feel that the industry is going towards full financial planning. Okay, that's the big picture. I think the short-term period, and when I mean short-term, I don't mean a month or 2 months. I mean maybe in the next 5 years or so. I believe mortgage brokers will start seeing more business because we're being more aware in the public. Like the public are starting to know what a mortgage broker does. And with more awareness means cross our fingers, more business for us, because ultimately what we do is for the people who are looking to buy or looking to refinance or are in a pickle, need to get out. We're there to help them. So with more awareness, which is where I think short term, that's where it's going. Long term, I think full financial planning. I think it won't just be getting your mortgage broker license. It'll be getting your real estate license, or you're going to get your financial planning ticket. and so on. And anything we could do to kind of offer all products to our clients is probably where it's going. But I don't know. I don't have a magic ball. I can't see the future, but that's kind of where my gut feeling is telling me where it's going.
Right. Yeah, I'm seeing that too. And there's two different models that are starting to emerge. One is the person who starts to get dually licensed or triply licensed, and then other people are doing it with a team approach where under one roof or one banner, you come in and you can get multiple, products and services that are all, kind of wrapped together. So yeah, I agree with you. That feels like it's a trend.
In the big picture, if I could walk into a bank and get everything done, or walk into a brokerage or walk into some kind of company and they do it all for me in one stop, oh man, wouldn't that be great, right? Instead of, oh, you need insurance, you should go talk to this guy. Oh, you need a lawyer, go talk to this guy. Or you need to you need to talk to a real estate agent, go talk to this girl, kind of thing. If that's where I see as far as the big picture. But in the little picture, we're going to see more market shares. That's for sure.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I agree. Okay, this is one of my favorite questions, and it's the DeLorean question. Remember the Back to the Future movie?
Absolutely, one of my favorites.
And so you didn't have to read the book, so you could just watch this one. I don't know if there is a book, but so imagine if you could jump in the DeLorean, you could whip back to 7 years ago, and you could have give yourself 3 pieces of advice. So you get to meet yourself. You're a little bit younger. Maybe you're a little bit thinner 15 years ago. I don't know. And
yeah, that sounds about right.
And then, so what 3 things would you, in order to make your business more successful today, what 3 things would you say to yourself?
The first thing is, don't miss out on opportunities. Okay. Harness every relationship. Goes back to what we were talking about earlier, Scott, about the failed relationships. Don't want to miss out on those things that are handed to you, and you want to treat it good. The other thing is, be knowledgeable. Like, be prepared for stress, right? And because it's a stressful job, with deadlines. Sometimes the deadlines are 3 days, sometimes the deadline's 5 days, sometimes we don't have a deadline, which makes it even more stressful. And the last thing is, be wise with your money. The commission stuff is hard, and it's a hard thing when you're in commission work, because you don't know when your next paycheck is. But you got to definitely be smart with your money, because that tax man could come creeping up on you, right?
Yes, I've seen that happen myself.
Yeah, those would definitely be the 3 things.
Okay, that's great advice. Well, Matt, I have really enjoyed our conversation as a fellow Jedi, and I may not be totally embrace the Facebook thing, but it's okay, Scott, because the Force is strong in you. I have another story. I'll tell you some other time about my son. I had convinced him when he was 3 years old that the Force was real, and anyway, it's a hilarious story. He feels very embarrassed about it now, but I'm like, dude, you were 3, and I pretty much brainwashed you, so.
Exactly right. So no big deal, right?
So this has been awesome.
Thanks for having me. I really appreciate it.
How can people find you online?
They can go to mortgagealert.ca is my website. They could also go to my Facebook page, facebook.com/YYC Mortgages, or a simple Google search.
Matthew Key with 2 E's.
With 2 E's, K-E-E, not K-E-Y, but yeah, K-E-E.
And are you hiring right now if somebody's a sub-broker in your market and they hear you and they say, hey, I'd like to connect with you?
Absolutely. We're a young team. We want to evolve with the industry. We also want to try to put our input and change it to a better industry. I don't know how we're going to do that, but it's a goal of mine. If anyone's interested out there or who wants to talk or become a mortgage broker, call me. I love my job. It's one of the greatest things I've ever done in my life is setting up money for someone to live in their house, and then a few years later the house is worth a couple $100,000 more, and all thanks to us, right? So. Right.
Well, thanks again, Matt, and Broker Nation. If you want to check out this or other shows, you go to ilovemortgagebrokering.com. You can type in Matt in the show notes or in the search bar, and you'll find him. And thanks again, Matt. We'll talk soon.
Thanks, buddy.
The only podcast for brokers by brokers. I Love Mortgage Brokering will inspire you to up your mortgage business. Join your host, Scott Peckford.
Hi, Broker Nation. If you enjoyed this interview, please take a minute, visit iTunes, and rate this podcast. If you do, you'll get 3 deals in the next month. Okay, that's not true, but I would really appreciate it. Also, I want to invite you to join me on a quest. After every episode, I personally take 5 minutes and think about one thing or one idea I can use to improve my mortgage business. I encourage you to do the same. Over the next 12 months, I plan to do 100 interviews and make 100 improvements. I'm going to track these to see how they impact my business and, more importantly, my bottom line. Visit ilovemortgagebrokering.com and post in the show notes what one thing you plan to do differently after listening to this interview, and check out what other brokers are sharing. Also, if you'd like to connect with me, fire me an email at scott@robyourbank.com. I love hearing from passionate mortgage professionals who are interested in improving their business. Until next time, rock on.